welcome to our shop. This is everything but the dress.
I still have 4 kids. If I complete, I would.
I'm Caroline Crawford Patterson.
Honey, we're home.
This week's episode is coming live from my couch, actually. It's the first one that is being, I guess, visually recorded, and I'll upload it to YouTube in my cozy little corner of my couch on a Zoom camera, which is not how we're going to do all of our episodes. As you know, I love a studio, but for this week, this is what we're going to do. We have a solo episode. I've loved doing our solo episodes since we've started. I like the time frame that we do them in. I like the subject matter. I like getting into the nitty gritty of like what's going on in my inner workings of thoughts. Maybe they're a little bit intrusive, maybe not. I don't know. But I love the guests too. And I think this has been like a fun balance for me. And I like that you guys have liked it so far. So thanks for that. So I'm in New York this week, and I will go back to Charleston next Monday. So I'm hoping that, by the time I leave, I have everything squared away. And one really weird thing about the situation that we're in right now, which, if you know, you know, but if you don't, my mom is sick and got diagnosed with bulbar ALS, is that I've loved doing the show in real time. And because there really aren't that many like podcasting capabilities in Charleston, and I'm not saying that you guys wouldn't be okay with, doing more of a virtual thing. It's kind of like my personal preference for like how I've built the show, and I put like pride in that I've learned to start adapting and recording in advance. And, I've been given the advice, and I want to take it to like lean more on you guys and like who you want to have on in the show and what those conversations can be like. And one thing that I'm definitely clear of, because I've gone back and forth about this a few times, is that the vibe of guests, which I think we've done with these past 2 guests, is more of like a guest co-host. So if you listen to Kate New York's episode and Jenna's for Everything But the Dress, Kate specifically is like, I went into it with this sort of pressure of like being this great interviewer, which I don't know if I have those skills totally defined yet. And Kate and I are good friends. And so what ended up happening was it was just a fun episode of chatting about things maybe outside of what either of us do for work. And, maybe that you do answer some questions, and we got to questions at the end, but like it really was like a co-hosting vibe. And I really liked that. And I went to my network and I was like, this is what I'm liking to do. I don't know if it resonates though. I don't know if it's okay. And they were very supportive because they have been throughout all of this. But yeah, I'm kind of vibing with that style. And for me, like we talk about a lot of serious stuff on the show. And like this week, I want to talk about, what it's like to take care of yourself and feel guilty taking care of yourself. And not from the perspective of self-love. That's not really where I'm coming from. Like I know, and this content circulates all the time, like things we do for ourselves, like your self-care day and all of that. And it's doing a face mask and whatever and da da da. Yes, like those things count. I'm more just saying like what it feels like to indulge in the things that make you happy and feeling maybe bad for doing them because they don't feel essential or they don't feel necessary. And maybe it's during a hard time, or maybe it's your mom, maybe it's pregnancy or postpartum, maybe your partner's going through a hard time, maybe it's, a work situation. And you start to beat yourself up for doing something that is fun and lighthearted and not serious. And it brings you joy maybe, but it's such a like, feels like such a trivial thing that you feel bad for doing it. And I've gotten more into this idea of like understanding what really makes me tick versus what I feel like the internet has told me makes me tick. And then just saying like, okay, you know what? Like I like that and it fills my cup and I'm not going to feel bad about it because I have to take care of myself to take care of other people. And like, but then there's a whole sort of conversation of how do you deliver that to somebody? How do you say like, "Oh, I'm drawing a boundary," but it's so I can go to drinks with my friend. That feels just like kind of an asshole thing to say or do or selfish. And then there are things that are selfish and there is a line and it's very tricky to toe that line of like how you're navigating a hard situation um or a situation where you have a lot of responsibility and then taking time to do something that is like quote unquote like not necessary and you feeling guilty about it but knowing you need it. Anyways, that's what I want to talk about today. um and I realized in all of these conversations we're having that are kind of serious, this show isn't meant to be just tear jerking and anxiety inducing. It's supposed to be fun. And there are a lot of shows that interview people and they get to the grit of all these like interesting things or like, this great advice. And I really like that. I also just like the vibe though of having conversations with people that I like and I enjoy their energy and it's fun and it makes me feel better at the end of the conversation. And I feel like that is also filling to my cup. And that's what I'm good at. And so that's what I'm going to do. And I have a short list of guests that I just absolutely love and adore and want to get on the show. I'd love to know who you'd like to see on the show. Who do you think I'd vibe with? What's the good energy? What's the conversation like? What are things that you guys want to get into? And obviously, it's tricky there. No, it's not tricky, but it's like, we could have this conversation that I'm about to have really, I guess, by myself with somebody else as well. And maybe we do and whatever. And I don't want to beat a dead horse, but anyways, um, that is the stance. So that today is a solo episode. I'm in New York. I leave next Monday. I will be gone for about 3 weeks, like through the 4th of July. I'm really hoping, while this goes into today's topic, I'm really hoping that I can make a friend's birthday party in the middle of July that I would have to travel for. It would bring me so much joy. I feel very guilty for entertaining the idea of going. And this is just a common thing I felt over and over and over again. I also like, I had a great week last week. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I traveled for like 20 days and I was with my mom that whole time. And while it was enjoyable, it was not normal and a lot. And when I came home, it was like Saturday at midnight. It was on John's birthday, actually. On Sunday or Monday, I, well, Sunday, I immediately, Jenna and I met up. We had to move everything out of the everything but the dress store. And we'd been keeping it in the basement. And our guy Chuck told us we could. But then Chuck signed a 3-year lease. Good for him, but it's very bittersweet for us. And and kind of sucky, honestly, because Chuck told us we could come back in September, but I think he just made um sort of a verbal agreement, whatever, it doesn't matter. Anyways, we immediately had to move it because he had been getting anxious about it. Sorry, understandably so. And so it was just going right into work mode. And I I think I just shut down a little bit because I have not been able to get anything done for so long. And so I just went into this mode that was like, you have to start doing everything immediately right now because you don't know how many seconds you have to get it done. And it's not a mode that any of us are unfamiliar with. But it was scarier for me because I felt like what I didn't get done was going to like linger in the balance for other people. Like things that only you know how to do, right? Or that take two people, or like it's a business thing or it's a marital thing, and you really have no choice but to get it done. And I also was living in this place of fear that like at any second I could get called back to go back home. So the time that I thought I had, I might not have. And I just started going like hyper beast mode. And I think on Tuesday or something, I went to meet McKenna for a drink at Chelsea Hotel. Well, we left to go work together. And this is just how like I mean, this is what happens. Anyways, we did. And I was very productive and I needed to like see a friend. And it brought me a lot of joy to see a friend. So then whatever, we order a drink. And then we go get a glass of wine after work. And it's honestly, I just sat there and I was like, wow, breathe. Like, Jesus, just breathe. Oh my God. Like, laugh, smile, enjoy. And my energy started like coming back to my body. This is gonna make me cry just talking about it. I don't know why it's like not that serious, but I so took for granted being able to do that, right? And like how much of a privilege that was and is. And so in the moment of like, I just don't think I realized how integral those like moments of friendship and like casualness were to my ability to like go through my day and my life with a good attitude and energy and kindness and love and stamina. And I think it's because at the same moment, like I was doing work and I love my work and I'm proud of it. And it's been stressful for me to, I'm in a position where like I don't clock in each day. So if I'm in a scenario, if I'm at home and something needs to be done, there's a caretaking that needs to happen. I really like make the final call, whether it's more important to do the execute the caretaking or step aside and do my work. Like there's no one, I'm the only one that loses at the end of the day if I don't do my work. There's no one that's going to fire me, whatever. And when you're in that scenario, it's really impossible to make the decision to step aside to do your work because the caretaking is obviously more important. And so it became like this thing that I had to get back to that I had to do. It was like an item on a checklist. And doing it made me so thankful for what it is that I do for a living because I started to feel this like slow sense of fulfillment and um reward for getting something done for my job and or for like even I so we have new album artwork and for starting that process and I started to get excited that I was going to have time to do my work and I got excited that I got to like sit down with my friend and get a drink and walk to a wine bar and go home and like eat dinner with John and I started to relax a little bit but I realized that this was going to be the first week, Sunday to Sunday, that I'd fully been in New York since March, I believe, or like since the first week of April. And I gave myself permission to just like take time to like slow down. And I stopped hustling everything. Like I stopped immediately trying to like move all of this stuff to storage and fold all the laundry immediately and clean everything out. And so it was like a nice breath of fresh air. And anyways, so throughout the past few weeks, I've been thinking to myself, because it is a little bit of a difficult thing to go out to wine and enjoy it and get tipsy and without feeling like you're avoiding some type of responsibility. And I realized like I would feel a lot better. I would feel less guilty for whatever reason if it was like, but I went to a workout class and I put my phone in a locker and didn't look at it for over an hour. Or if I was meditating or journaling or, you know, doing a face mask or getting a haircut, even getting a manicure. Like I was like, why do those things? Well, I'm lying a little bit. Like going to get a manicure I already had to deal with that one. Like I did that when I was in Charleston and I like had to be pushed out of the house to go do it. But I mean, so it's not like a full free of like my time could be better elsewhere, but you know what I'm saying? Like you could justify it because there's a narrative that like this is you taking care of yourself and like that's okay. Like don't let yourself go to crap. Don't lose it. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of sort of in that vein of like you need to make sure you're showering and eating too. But why is going to get a glass of wine with my friend not the same? Like that is outlandish. That's irresponsible. That doesn't make sense. And so then I started comparing that to this thing that I've had like since the beginning of what we've really been going through is that I was like, I want to make sure that I'm appreciating all of my time in New York and like doing all that New York has to offer. And New York is expensive and I'm paying a lot of money to still live here and basically not be here. I'm spending a lot of time away from John. It sucks. Um, it is like just the craziest thing. Like John is working really hard because he is trying to provide for us in case like something happens where I fully have to like go take care of my mom, and he's in the middle of a hectic time in his job, and like we can't all get fired and do that. Like we have to take care of things on this end, and it's just difficult. It's really difficult to not be with him. It's difficult to spend so much time apart. Obviously, it's hard to be away from like your life that you've built that, but you know, that you do what you have to do. But I just decided that like when I was in New York, I wanted to do fun things, and I wanted to like feed into the life that I built here because that's why I built it. And, you know, if I can't find the time with being here in a week to do something that's like fulfilling, then I have really no business being here because, you know, some people get like 3 days to go home in between stuff, and some people have no time at all. So I really shouldn't be like nitpicking my situation like that. Anyway, so what I was saying is that I've had this mindset of spending my time here wisely, having fun. And then I've also had this mindset of feeling guilty. And then I had this like recollection that like, why is my self-care only defined by the internet self-care? Like, you know, John and I went on a jog last night, which is legitimately the first time we've gone on a jog together since COVID. And I think we'll do it again. This is one of the goals we like talked about at his birthday lunch or dinner or whatever. And it, that's sort of like spawned from finding new ways to spend time together if we're going to get less time together. So like that's like a natural type of progression that I would argue. Um, but I whatever, we were coming back, and I'm not a jogger, I'm not a runner. Like I really don't like it. But you know what I mean? This kind of like release emotionally is probably better for me in this time than like a really low impact workout. So it's probably really good for me to sort of like lean into something like that right now, and whatever that might be. And yes, it is a mental clearing thing. Like physically, it fills my cup. It makes me fitter. It makes me more clear-headed. It is a release. It is all of those things. Is that all there is though? Like that's what I just keep going back to think about. It's like, what about my like, what about my spirit? What about the fitness of my spirit? Like, what fills my cup for like positivity and gratitude and mood? And it's like, I go to church on Sundays and I know that that's doing something great for me. I work out and I know it's doing something great for me. I feel like there has to be a conversation around you getting to choose, though, what fills your cup, and then knowing getting to challenge that. Like me going on a dinner date with John, you know, that might seem trivial, but if it fills my cup and I get less of that these days, then I don't really get to see how I don't see how you get to challenge that when the people challenging you, and this just goes back to a blanket statement in life, the people that challenge you in things or dislike the way you do something typically do it their way anyways. Like they're such loud speakers that they're gonna do what makes them tick and what makes them happy, you know, regardless of what you think. So you really shouldn't care if they don't like what you're doing to make yourself happy. But it goes beyond that. It's just giving yourself the license to do it. I am someone who's like very wired into like the perception of me. And I don't know why. I don't know if it's a Virgo thing. I don't know if it's an oldest child thing. I don't know if it's a combination, but I view things from like a very moral standpoint a lot of the time. Is this right from all angles? And if it's not, how can I negate that? Or how can I, you know, make sure of it? And if it looks bad, just like don't do it. There are some things where like I'm learning, give myself permission to just say that makes me happy, and I'm gonna need those things. And if you don't like it, you know, or if you think that there's something else somewhere I could be better using my time, maybe it's because that's where your time is better spent, but not mine. All of this literally coming from enjoying going out to drinks and not, you know, and struggling to not feel guilty about having fun. Um, and I just, whatever, it just sort of sparked this whole thing because I was in acupuncture today and I was talking to my acupuncturist kind of about this. And I told her what was going on. She's like, I'm glad you told me because I can do these emotional support levels. And I just was talking to her about how, like, I'm going next Monday, like I said 100 million times, to Charleston. And I purposely booked my flight so that I could go to acupuncture first thing in the morning. Like, instead of doing the 8 a.m. flight, I did the 2 p.m. flight so I could go to acupuncture in the morning. And I literally hovered over that book button for so long because I was like, the fact that you're literally delaying getting there to go to like a beauty appointment or whatever it is ridiculous. And then I was like, no, it's smart because if I'm navigating how to fit in taking care of myself with taking care of somebody else. And while we were having this discussion, she obviously is like, you can't take care of other people unless you take care of yourself. And it led me to this whole thought process of like, this generation is somebody who's very aware of like trauma and how it can form within your body and manifest physically and then start to influence your decisions throughout your life. And then you find somewhere that's like you're a result of all of your undealt with trauma at the age of 50, 60, 40, whatever that is. And we are very like sensitive to kind of trying to negate that in the best way that we can. Like we don't really want that to be us. So we try to go about it differently. And I was, we were talking about how like I have so much pain in my hip. And I also know that I swear like emotional pain there, along with the fact that it's just physical. And I just was thinking about, you know, how physical it actually is. And the fact that it couldn't, emotional releases directly impact how much physical pain I'm in my hip, which impacts how much I work out. And it's like the whole thing is connected. And if I just could just be okay with what taking care of myself looks like for me, then it would snowball into like a much better and healthier life for me down the line and going through things. And like, taking care of my emotional health and going to therapy is probably going to prevent me from having like an epic of the century crash out later. All of it is like connected. And so, anyways, that to say, like, there is a lot of guilt associated and I'm learning to just like the things that I like and understand that it is deeper than just liking them because if it provides some sort of like benefit to your mental health, then you need to do them, but then you also need to understand what is an excess, or like where you really are avoiding responsibility, and that's just something only, the people in your life can help navigate for you. And it just was really interesting. So, for any of you guys that are going through anything similar, like just any type of guilt associated with, have what taking care of yourself looks like beyond what you feel like has already been approved of as self-care, we're in it together. I'm not here to tell you like F everybody because this is something that I like have to struggle with in every decision I make. But I am telling you that I think about it a lot too. And where I stand right now is if I know that this is something that is filling me up to 100 so that I can afford to get drained down again, but I can maintain above zero, then I count that as sustenance. It's something that is sustainable for me. And I'm going to need to be in a position where I'm able to sustain myself. One day when I'm a mom, like I'm going to need to be able to sustain myself. Like this is not a short-term situation. Like I can't just get depleted and say, okay, well, you know what? I handled it and I'm moving on with life. Like this is going to keep happening. So, you know, whatever, it's a sustainable system and you've got to figure out what those things are for you outside of what have been pre-approved actions. And like I'm just trying to, yeah, I'm navigating that. So I don't know if anybody else is as well, but that's happening for me right now. On a different note, I didn't really share this. I kind of shared it. But I didn't like outwardly say it that we did get to go to We got to go to Paris for Sarah's graduation. She finally graduated after her 4 years, and my mom was able to go. It was a really big deal. It was very special. It was very hard. It was very fun. It was all of the things. And we were there in time frame that overlapped with John's birthday. Well, we flew back on John's birthday, as I said earlier. And I have great Rex this time. I usually I'm sort of like vibing and just like stopping at a cafe and drinking. Like that's just sort of what I like to do when we're there. This time, because it was John's birthday, we sort of took extra measures to like I just wanted to do the stuff that John likes to do. And I'm not saying that I don't like going to nice restaurants, but like John loves a nice restaurant. Like that boy is such a diva. Like loves like I feel like his hobby, like if I bought him a book on Michelin stars, he'd eat it up. But I couldn't do it because then like all night, every night, he'd be like telling me about this Michelin information. And it's a lot, but I love that he loves it. And I found out about this restaurant that opened next to La Petite Palais, which is Le Grand Cafe. And it is new. I feel like they're kind of just coming out of their soft opening era. If anyone's going to Paris this summer, oh my God, 10 out of 10 experience. First of all, literally so freaking cool. Dress nice, look cool, look chic, look expensive. Don't regret that a bit. This these two girlfriends like next to us, um, they were older than us, but not like our parents' age. I mean, maybe, I don't know, maybe they're just like insane for their age. They were like, you guys are the coolest Americans. And honestly, I looked at my sister because it was me, Sarah, and John that night. And we were like, we're never going to shut up about this because, first of all, and her crocodile Birkin and her friends Minnie Kelly, and they're the coolest. Like, and I was in John's blazer. Like, I was literally wearing John's double breasted tux jacket as a dress. And whatever. It was like, she thinks it's chic. I think it's chic. It's amazing. So freaking cool. Live music, like, not even jazz. Like, they had a vocalist and a piano. And the girl that was sitting next to us with the woman, I like, so when I say this, like, I mean it. It gave the vibe of Bimmelman's in the Mark, um, but in a restaurant and like way cooler and like less stuffy people. And the woman sitting next to us literally was like, "Oh, like, do you know if you like this? Like, have you ever been to Bimmelman's?" See, and I was like, "Yes, yes, my girl, I've been to Bimmelman's, and I do agree with you." It was so epic. I encourage every single person to go. I actually originally saw it during the day and I sent it to John and I thought maybe he would make a restaurant or a reservation for like brunch, whatever. But he made a dinner reservation and I was nervous. Sometimes I like fail on the restaurant pick because I'll pick something that looks so cool and then the food won't be good. I needed the win. It was no one's ever made me feel bad about it, but it's something I've just like clocked about myself. Like I've retired from picking restaurants. I just leave it to the people that have a sixth sense in restaurant picking. Like I can refer you to a fabulous restaurant I've been to. Um, I can pretty much guarantee you though that I was not the one that picked it. And John just like happens, he like has his finger on the pulse with the restaurant culture. And I'll have like heard about everything, but I'm never going to be proactive and going there. Like I'm like, you know what? I'm going to my neighborhood spot because it's easy, it's low key. I don't get anxiety. Like I'm like, sometimes I go to places and I'm like, this is too nice for me. And then it's not fun because I'm like imposturing. But and I was a little nervous about it with this, but it is so cool. Staff was so nice. The illustrations, sick. Everything was like actually 10 out of 10. It was really cool. Sarah's comment was like, I feel like I'm in like the old school upper echelon vibe of Paris, not just like of the world, because it wasn't stuffy. Just she was like of Paris specifically, like this very fun, high energy type of like vibe. I don't know. It was great. I would highly recommend it. And then the next day for lunch, we did get to go to this really cool restaurant. And it was on top of it was on top of a hotel that was now I'm literally blanking on the hotel, Cheval Blanc. And we got this really cool view of the Eiffel Tower and it was really, really fabulous. And that was actually a really insane story because the woman we sat next to at dinner made the reservation for us by texting the maitre d'. And I don't think I knew who she was, and I still don't know who she was, but she was very important because our lunch was comped. And I have never had to pick my jaw up off the floor as largely as I did in that moment. It was really insane. It was a huge blessing. It was like, I don't know, I could never we have her phone number and I know John texted her and was like, this is, that was so unnecessary and so kind. And um I don't know what we did to deserve that, but it was a really, really cool, special moment. And that was like our last meal in Paris and we left. But overall, we had a good time. I did get something though that was so on my bucket list, and it's not like you're like, she's gonna say a bag, she's gonna say shoes. No, silverware. This silverware, Sabre, I have been obsessed with this silverware for years, I tell you. And there is a store in our neighborhood called Big Night. And Big Night carries Sabre. And Big Night is one of the only stores in the US. Like, it's not like there are like three, there are more like 12 to 15, maybe retailers in the US of Sabre, maybe less, I don't know. And this place is one of them. And I've always been obsessed and I've known what Sabre is. And Sarah's bought me a Sabre cheese knife and butter knife, I think. Very, very cool. I think it's the coolest of cool girl silverware. And it's not like that level of price point where you're like, this is all sterling silver and $100 a fork. But I have also never bought myself silverware. Like literally the silverware that I have is either from my mom's drawer or, and I guess like Target from like when I first moved into my apartment in post grad, mixed in with whatever John had. Like that to this day, I'm 30. Like that to this day is my silverware. And I always joked with John, like, we're really adults when we buy silverware, like when we buy real silverware. Like, we didn't put any on our wedding registry. I didn't like any, like, that I could find at the time. And I've been eyeing the Sabre for a long time. But the thing is, it's colorful. And there are so many colors. And Big Night has like three of the options and they like rotate them. So I literally had this dream where I was like, I'm going to go to Paris and I'm going to go to a Sabre store and I'm going to pick out my silverware, whatever color I want. Am I going to mix and match it? I don't know. I have so much time to think about it. We got to finally get, and like we bought 4 sets. The lady was like, yeah, people usually start with like 8. I'm like, 6 to 8. I'm like, yeah, we don't have a dishwasher. I'm like, and we don't have that many drawers. Like, we're starting with 4. We'll go from there. And we did 2 of the light blue sets, the bistro style, and 2 of this like really light cream tortoise. I've never, I'm not even embarrassed how much I am stoked about the fact that like I walked out with silver and I was like, you know what, bitch, I can only get this in Paris. And I could because I got home and I went into Big Night and I was like, nope, you don't even have the colors. I didn't even know they had light blue. And now I'm just like really fixated because I want their knives that have like the patterns on them. Um, it's a problem, but I could be obsessed with bags and instead I'm obsessed with silverware. And for that, I think we should all be grateful, specifically like John and my bank account. Um, because we spent like $200 on silverware and that was like a huge deal for me. That was like literally the one big thing we bought there. And I'm like looking at it right now from across the room and I just love it. Anyways, um beyond that, if you anyone's going to Paris this summer, I've never really shared totally my recs, so I'm just gonna spitball them here for just a quick second. But like I would stay in the fifth if you can. Um, we usually do. That's because it's really close to my sister. But I have stayed in other neighborhoods and I like the fifth. Um, make sure that you're hanging out in like Saint Germain. Um, I love Le Marais for lunch. And I know that there's good shopping there, but if you can spend more time there, like specifically walking down into the third is where I personally found this time that I like there were a lot of really cool shops. It was raining a lot that day. So, and I was really hangry, and so was John. Like we forgot to eat, but not even hangry actually. Like you know when you just like go dead. You're just there are no breaths, there are no words, there are no sounds. Like you're just there, and that's as much as you can be until someone gives you sustenance. That was kind of the energy. However, like I have this jacket from Lulu Studio that my mom gave me for Christmas, and I love it. And I looked at it for so long. Um, and their store is in the third in Paris, and that's not where I got it. Actually, like the first time I ever saw it was when I went to visit Claire in at Boulder, at a boutique there. So ironic, I guess. But anyways, I discovered they have a store there, and it's great. There are a lot of really cool men's stores there. Um, there are cool bars over there in the third, and I like Mary Celeste, really, really good bar for like afternoon wine and cocktails. And we really got more into like our foodie scene this time. Again, I said like some usually we're just at like cafes, but I really wanted to try we wanted to try like new things. And Mary Celeste was a great bar. Um that was really fun. In Saint Germain, I really think that everyone should go to Bar du Marché, which is iconic and everyone loves it. And rightfully so, because it just has like the vibe, the je ne sais quoi of just what you want to be doing and what you view that like Parisian lifestyle to be like. Um, and you can walk from the fifth into Saint Germain. It's like a 15-minute walk and it's really great. Or stay in Saint Germain. You know what I mean? I think that the hotels in Saint Germain are epic. And wow, I've said and 100 million times. But those are my we went to this restaurant called Kubri, and it's Kubri. Very, very good food. I know that it's like not in the cut, but it took so long to get to that I was like, "Oh my God." And I'm I am a foodie, but like I need a certain energy of a restaurant. And so we went, and I don't know if I was just tired that day, but I was like, I don't know if the restaurant is giving the right energy. And John disagreed. He was like, I think it is. And Sarah disagreed. Claire might have agreed with me. However, the food was 10 out of 10. It was so good. Like we went on a recommendation and it did not disappoint. Also, witnessed hands down one of the best crash outs of all time from a family. This like grown guy, like he like picked up his little leather jacket and he stormed out of the restaurant, and his sister had to go chase him down. And his mom was like really upset, and the grandma disappeared because that's who he was yelling at and didn't come back. And he just was like going in, and he's like, I've had too much to drink, while he's pouring himself more wine. I mean, it is a small little restaurant. That was entertainment 10 hands down. Like that was 10 out of 10 entertainment. Like nothing's better than a fight that's not happening in your own family. Um I felt bad for the sister, but so that was entertaining. Anyways, a few days later, Sarah sends me this post where Kubri was like still rated like a number one restaurant in some like foodies guide for Paris. And I was like, hell yeah. But again, I did not choose a restaurant. John chose a restaurant, which is par for the course. But it was really delicious. And if you're looking for like a good meal, it's Mediterranean. It's I believe it's Lebanese actually. But if you're looking for a really good meal, that was delicious. Like it was really, really, really good. Um, and then you could actually walk to Mary Celeste after, because we did. Well, we went to Mary Celeste like 3 times. But they are closer together. So if you're gonna go all the way over there, like go out to drinks after and go to Mary Celeste to get like a pickup of the vibe and the energy, and you'll have like a really good time. But that was, you know, I don't know, it's like delicious. Everything was fantastic, and we had a good time. And I'm just happy that we went, and I'm also really happy to be home. But I am also happy, I guess, to be able to catch you guys up on this. And I hope that you guys are having like a good week. And if you're in New York, I hope that you're braving the rain that has been the past month. That's been, nice. And I'm just kidding. And I hope you're having a good June if you're anywhere else. And I don't know. That's it. So I am gonna see if I have to go jog with John right now. It's 6:30. I'm scared because I'm sore. I'm like sore from yesterday, but I will do it because it's good for me. And we're gonna make this like beef bowl tonight for dinner that McKenna gave us a recipe for, and it's like weirdly good, even though it sounds so odd. It's like beef and sweet potatoes, but it's delicious. And I will see you guys next week. Bye.